Alrighty, I think we're going today, everyone. Welcome. It's Richard Carlton, creator of FMTrain.tv, where we do great on-demand video training as well as daily live stream videos about the FileMaker platform. Our goal is to make you awesome with FileMaker. That way you can make your customers or your company awesome with FileMaker, whatever that is. And in order to do that, you have to have some skills, and that's what we're here to do, is answer questions, give you the skills you need, totally free. Pretty cool. So I want to start off with a little bit of open questions and answers. We've been getting comments from people after yesterday's broadcast. I have my list of notes right here. The first note that we got, a question from someone that's kind of reviewing this, is Bunny a real person? Bunny is very much a real person. People are watching the recordings. In fact, many, many more people. Like on a live stream, we might have 60 or 70 or 80 across the entire group. On a slow day, maybe 30 or 40. What's funny is that people, over the course of next week, 500, 600, 800 people watch the video. So many more people see it there. They think we're making up Bunny as a make-believe person. And so it's kind of taken on a life of its own a little bit. And so what I want to do is introduce a new concept for everyone today. We are doing is Bunny compliant training or Bunny certified training. And so what I'm going to do is see if I can press the button over here to bring this up. I'm going to view it as actual size and make it bigger. And so what we have is what we're calling Bunny Basic Certified Content. This is content that is designed for the brand new FileMaker developer, right? And so what better to call it than Bunny Basics, right? Pretty awesome. So anyway, today and the next 4 days are going to be Bunny Basics. So a lot of you, Nathan Schneider, a lot of you folks here, really high IQ people, you're in the wrong place. Nathan, just go play your game or do something else because you're going to be bored by this content. Today is the basics for the people who are on the beginning side of the FileMaker learning curve, right? So what is that learning curve? It's this diagram right here. You're over here in this beginning level person right here. The goal is I got a bunch of Nathans and people that live, a lot of you people here live between this person and this person here. You got Andres and all these folks. Anyway, so yeah, pretty interesting. So today is basically what we're doing is Bunny Basics. For the next 4 days, basic stuff. I'm in the middle of doing the Go course right now, which leads us to our Bunny compliant topic today. Once again, what are we doing? We're doing FileMaker Go. So the idea is that you already have some understanding or knowledge of FileMaker Pro, which is our Mac Windows FileMaker. And you're don't have to be an expert, but you have to have kind of like what is a field and what is a layout and what is basic security. And then if I want to write a script, I go here and that kind of stuff. You don't even have to really understand relationships to a great degree. You just have to really have a kind of a really limited basic understanding. I'm sure Bunny has this level of understanding, although I don't know if Bunny's actually here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go over to FileMaker Pro. I'm in my Mac here, and I'm going to fire up a new file. I'm going to say create a brand new file. It's spinning because I'm connected to FileMaker Cloud. I don't want to do it on cloud. I'm just going to create a blank file. I'm going to say create a file. It's going to say, hey, well, I'm going to stick this on the cloud. I want to stick it on my Mac because that's what we need to do. I'm going to save it to the desktop. This will be Go Day 1. I'm going to save it to the desktop. And then there's some, so this gives you the default file with a default table. The file is actually hanging out over here, probably right there. I'm going to put it up here so we can see it. Leave myself down here. And so once again, the idea is that I'm just going to put a couple fields in here. I'm going to say name, address, city, state, zip. So we have some fields here, okay? And there's no relationships, no scripts. It's really basic stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of zoom in a little bit over here so you folks can see this. This is our FileMaker. This is a FileMaker file that's running. Now, the trick is that when you're doing a FileMaker Go application, realistically, you want to be able to build it in Pro, test it in Go. Now, I have my Go device sitting right here, so we're going to be using this here shortly. The trick is that you really need to put the file on a FileMaker server or FileMaker Cloud, or you can do peer-to-peer sharing. Now, I am not a big fan of peer-to-peer sharing. Except on a situation like this. It's an ad hoc network for demo or testing or trying to show someone something. But for active development, I understand you're not paying for server. But the point with server, we've been through this 100 times. If you don't have backups, you're going to explode yourself. We talked about that yesterday at great length. So, okay, so I'm watching 3 conversations here, and no one's asking questions yet, so moving along. So what I want to do is I want to go to, I'm going to do peer-to-peer sharing. I'm not going to use FileMaker Server. I'm not going to use Cloud. I'm going to use the built-in sharing of FileMaker Pro. So I'm going to go to File, down to Sharing, over to Share with FileMaker Clients. Now this means basically Go and Pro. It doesn't mean WebDirect, because in this situation right here, FileMaker Clients, they don't consider WebDirect a client. I mean, it is a client. Let's just be clear about that. But this is one of those like legacy. This little word, this little sentence right here has been in the product for 20 plus years, if not 30 years. In fact, before there was FileMaker Server, there was peer-to-peer sharing. The only way you could share a solution was with peer-to-peer, and then FileMaker Pro would share up to like 25 people. Now it's limited to like five, I would say people, but 5 clients that can log in, and none of them can be WebDirect. They have to be Pro or Go. So I'm going to say Share, and a little dialogue's going to pop up. We're going to say Turn Sharing On. Just for simplicity, I'm going to say all users, right? We're going to share to all users, and I say OK. Now also what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here because we want to be secure. I'm going to set up basic security. So File, once again, down to Manage, over to Security. I'm going to come over here. I have Admin Access. It's red. Red means there's no password. I'm going to click the little ink pen thingy here. What am I doing here? I need to change this. Yes, Admin, correct. Let's see if it'll let me. There it goes. I missed. I clicked it and it wasn't doing. I'm like, okay, I lost my mind. I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4. Makes it very easy to enter. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to say set password. So now we have a password. I say okay. It's going to verify that we know what the username password is. So I have to repeat it back to FileMaker Pro. Now, it now has a password on it, limited though it is. And it's now sharing. So if you theoretically had, I don't know if this machine has a static address or not. You folks could actually log on to this. Let me see some preferences. I don't know that I have a static address here or not. I don't. Actually, it looks like I'm using Wi-Fi, which is very... Oh! Oh, no wonder we have problems sometimes with the Discord. Okay, well, we'll figure that out. That's a good one. We were doing some testing with our remote, taking a hotspot on the road and doing broadcasts remotely, and we never turned it back to wired. So the wire is going out for YouTube and for Twitch, but it's wirelessly to Discord. So if you guys have problems, let me know. Most of the time when you have problems, one of you says you have a problem, the rest of you don't, which means it's the person. Okay, so once again, we have the file here. We need to access it over here. In order to see this, I've got it plugged in with the lightning connector to USB on the back of the computer. I'm going to go to the QuickTime video player, which was showing our little opening video a second ago. So I'm in QuickTime right here. I'm going to say new movie recording. So we're not going to really make a recording, and there I am. Hey, hi Richard. Hey, how are you? I'm really great today. And people are complaining today? No, people are very happy today. Okay, great. So you know that if you can talk to yourself and smile, you're in good shape. I'm going to switch it to iPad 4. And so here it is right here. It's a little on the jumbo size. Let me see if I can down. Oh, you know what it is? Because I'm zoomed in over here. All right, so we'll make it like that. So anyway, so it's a little bit bigger in Pro over here, so you can see things a little better. I am zoomed in. Now, when the mouse is over here, it says, hey, would you like to make a recording of this? This is how I make a lot of the QuickTime recordings, or the video recordings when we do iPhone or iPad. So it works on iPhone or iPad just fine. Here's the file here. We want this device here to open up. So I'm going to go to the home screen. If I move my mouse off, then the little thing goes away. I got FileMaker Go down. Once again, I can't really draw on this, but down here in the bottom menu bar, that little, you come into FileMaker, this is the Launch Center. The Launch Center is going to show the devices on my app. I am logged into Cloud 2 on this device as well. These, but these are the items that are on my iPad right here, over here. And then if I go back over here, this is my Cloud 2 server. If I want to see a Cloud 1 server or a regular FileMaker server, you have to come over to host. So this is one of those moments where I shoot a video, and I had to shoot this video like 5 times. I was cussing and swearing the entire time because this makes, when you're trained, listen, when you build software, here's a tip. Okay, when you build software, you have to think about how you're going to train people on it. These two things should never be on separate screens, right? Because unless they're trying to say that that you're a worthless human if you use a host, but you really want to use my apps over here. I mean, I don't know what else they're communicating with the way they do that. Anyway, so if you have some of the servers, it's on hosts. If you have the other server, it's on my apps. Okay, this is not a bunny compliant statement. I don't know what to tell you. It just is. So I'm going to go to host. I'm going to say local host. I have my video recording in Fairfield. I'm going to press the button. There's the file. So this iPad now can see the database that's living over here. So I'm going to go ahead. I always like come over here and I try to click on it with my mouse, right? But I'm going to say admin and then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So very important thing. So now, as we build on here, you will see the changes over here, which is great. So I'm going to make myself a little smaller down the... Okay, so if I just put Rick over here, let's put Rick or whatever, and then I notice over here, you don't see anything because the record's not committed, it's not saved because we're in here editing it. I click out, I save it. I come over here, it updates, right? So we are looking at record number 1. If you want to see the record control at the bottom, it's this item down here at the bottom. So if I click on that, this is where you can see the record control. So once again, this section right here is the same as this section up here above. Now, typically what you're going to discover as a developer is that you really need iOS or mobile specific layouts. And so what you would do is I would come over here, I would go to layout mode, so I say edit layout or command or control L, but I'm out of hands. I need one hand on the mouse with one hand on the iPad. And so I'm doing this one-handed. So the idea is that we would come over here to layout mode. I would say, I would go to layout setup, and I would probably say that this would be a mouse layout. Right now it's designed for the use of a mouse, right? Not necessarily a desktop, but a mouse, right? Mouse layout. And then what I would do is, of course, that's the same layout over here. If I come back over here to Go, I can go up to the action menu. It's up here in the upper left-hand corner up here. So I'm going to try to click up there, click once. Down comes the action menu. The action menu is largely similar to WebDirect. So a lot of the things you're learning here also translate to WebDirect, which we're going to jump into on Thursday, I think, right? And so I can go to layout right here, and it shows that I am on day 1. Now, notice the name hasn't changed yet. Why? Because over here I'm still in layout mode. If I have to, when you're in layout mode, in order for you to commit the changes to the server or save it to the file, you have to go back to browse mode. That is the save function, right? So if I go over here, I say back to browse mode, it will save that. If I go back over here to this tool, this little pop-up hasn't refreshed. If I go back and then I go down to layouts, it still hasn't refreshed. Let's see if it... there was a little flash there, and then you're going to get the refresh. See right there? So you get the mouse right there. So that's how this works. So then what we want to do is come over here. We want to go to layout mode over here, and I'm going to go to new layout report. Now what's important to understand is that FileMaker has this like little builder layout wizardy thing, which it can be helpful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the iPad down. I'm going to try not to drop on. Use 2 hands. I'm going to say touch layout. So it's not necessarily an iOS layout, but it's a layout where you want to touch, because you could have a Windows machine, a Windows laptop with a touch screen, in which case you'd want to direct the traffic to a touch layout. So it's really not desktop or laptop versus iPhone. It's really mouse versus touch with your fingers, really the demarcation. You'll see this with starting point. It's been this way. Look at starting point. We have a whole set of layouts under mouse. We have a whole set of layouts under touch. And that's what we do. So then we're going to say, I'll just call it data, or call it day 1, I guess, right? But I say I want a touch device, and I want it on an iPad. So then what it's going to do is going to try to help kind of build for us a semi-happy layout that will work on the iPad. And I want a form view, right? So list view, once again, we talked about views the other day. You can, in FileMaker, doesn't matter what the client is. Well, okay, forget I said that. Well, generally, okay, there's always exceptions to this. It doesn't matter what the client is. If you're a bunny person, if you are this person to this person, okay, command 0, 0. I said, oh, I'm zoomed in. Let me go -sign. If you're this person, when The form, these don't matter, whatever the client is, okay? Some of you are going to go, hey, this is not right. So form view, list view, table view, okay? I'm on the iPad. I want a form view. I say finish. And so now we're building a layout here. One's mouse, one's touch. I could come over here to the fields on the left side. Once again, this is our layout mode. This is my left pane. And there are 3 panels over here. I want the fields panel. I want these 3 right here, or those 5. I'm going to drag them over here. And browse mode. And then if I come back over here to, now in reality, if I show you my screen on this, you'll see how small that is. That is really, I'm going to zoom all the way out here. Well, you're not going to be able to see it. It's just small. So there's your iPad screen right there. Those are pretty damn small, okay? And if you try to click in them with any precision, see, I screwed that up. I tried to click in the state and it caused it to zoom. So that one did correct. Let me try zip. Got that one. Try first name. I missed it. Walking and not sitting down, you have to take into account that the objects have to be bigger. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the action menu at the top left. I'm going to say go to layouts, and I'm going to say let's go to the touch layout. Now you're going to see a much more touch compliant layout, right? Makes sense? No questions. You guys are really horrifically bored or whatever. So the idea is that these layouts are interacting with the same data. So Bunny, you understand the concept here that multiple layouts can be looking at the same record. They will present the record differently. They will show it to you differently, right? I can be over here. Once again, I can't edit it in Go, but I come back over here. I can go to layout mode, and I can go to Bunny meme, right? And I can grab a meme, right? And so we'll just put a, I'm going to grab this, I'm going to grab this, I'm going to put this over here. And so I can drag this onto the layout, right? So there it is, right? I'm not saying putting images on a layout. It's a good thing. I'm just saying that way you can see this. If I go to the mouse layout, right? I want a different image. What if I just want a big box or something, right? I want to put a big box, right? So this is, you know, for pro users, basically. I go back to browse mode. I come back over here to the QuickTime Player. Once again, we can see that this layout has been customized, right? And on Go over here, I'm on the mouse layout. So the same data, like if I come over here and I say, I come over to Go. I'm going to move my mouse, move it up a little bit. I'm going to say create bottom. You can't see it. If you want to add a new record, the interface is right down there. So I'm going to say add a new record. I'm going to press that and say add a record. And then I'm going to say Ken. I think I'm going to get Ken's names right. I'm just going to use this for his last name. T-U-T-U-L-E. I think that's correct. Okay, so there's Ken's record. Once again, that's record. If I look at the bottom, click the bottom center, that's record number 2. And now what's cool about this is I can actually laterally flip my fingers left to right and see, so I can change the record. See that? So a really handy 2-finger swipey thing is like this, right? So I'm going to go 2 fingers like this or like that. There we go. See that? And you can move the records. Pretty cool. Anyway, so that's a neat thing that Go does. It also does the same on the phone. The phone has just got a lot. The phone is like the iPad. It's just got a lot smaller screen. I mean, that's all there is to it. Okay, so then on, once again, on mouse. Yeah, I was dragging and dropping, yeah. So that's actually, yeah. So pretty straightforward. So once again, if I'm over here on this layout here, I can still see Ken Tooley over here. We see Ken over here on this. This is like a really basic Bunny kind of realization that I'm looking at 2 layouts, but the data is the same. The underlying record is the same. We have access, but we can present it differently. So you're going to want to present the Go one way and the WebDirect or actually Go Pro one way and Go WebDirect another way, potentially. Very important. So you create a real time on the iPads. You also create records on the Go. Yeah, so the idea with the iPad is that let's just pretend the iPad always has internet access, right? You have Wi-Fi or you're on a 4G or 5G network or whatever. You can interact with this just like this in real time. So if someone is on Pro, they make an edit, you can see it on Go in real time, right? Within a half a quarter of a second. It's really quite good. Yeah, there's Ken with the balloon on the hat. That's so great. So yeah, so that it's kind of like one of these like fundamental bunny kind of thoughts, right? What is FileMaker? What is it really, right? And the fundamental of this, what I'm telling you in FileMaker, hasn't changed since I've been doing this in 30 years. There are records, right? You can have literally 5 records, or you could have 50 million records or more, right? And how you look at that record changes based upon the kind of layout you're on. My suggestion is that first off, you cannot build apps in a mobile device. Despite what Claris executives think, it doesn't work that way. Building in FileMaker Pro is like building a lot to some degree like Xcode. Xcode is a desktop application or a laptop application. When people code and build apps, custom apps for like real custom apps for mobile devices, they don't code. No one codes on mobile devices. I tried to explain this to people. No one listens. People who don't code, okay, and don't program and don't do things, are saying that they want to use iPhones and iPads to code, right? I can tell you the only one that I know does that is it used to be my 15-year-old daughter. And so if she can't edit a video on the iPhone, she won't do it. Then she went over to the Mac one day and started editing video there. We're like, oh, this is so much easier and more powerful. I'm like, yeah, that's the point, right? So anyway, it's kind of funny. So you don't do development here. You just consume the content. This is a consumption device. You're eating the FileMaker. You're eating the data. Pro on the desktop over here, which is hiding down here. That's my desktop computer, right? See it right there, right? So that stupid thing is where you're building this stuff out, right? 2 totally separate conversations or 2 devices with intention. It's intended this way, right? Something else that comes up we need to talk about, it's a very kind of important concept. When we did the security, FileMaker tried to help us a little bit automatically by taking certain assumptions and guesses. The reality is that when you set up security in an application, you have to basically tell FileMaker what kind of clients are allowed to access it. It's not just username and password. Like, think about it. With username and password, you should be able to restrict what layouts a person sees, what records a person sees. You can also restrict the kind of client as a general rule. So if we go into administrative access, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the advanced button down here. You see right down here. I'm going to press that button, pop that up. These are the privilege sets. Okay, I'm going to go to the full access privilege set, which basically is like God mode, or you hear database administrators, oh, you're in God mode. You could do anything, right? And so here it comes. So this is not a religious conversation, just kind of the slang term for it, assuming that God can do anything, right, in a database, right? And so here it's not editable because the reality is that this is a default privilege set. The guest default privilege set, these ones with brackets are like defaults. You can't really monkey with them. What I can do is I can go on this one right here. I can create, can't I would want to, edit it. Can I create new? I thought I could duplicate it. For whatever reason, it's not letting me. So I say admin right there, or I call admin iPad or something like that, right? iPad, right? And then what I do now over here, you see records. So I'm going to say they can create and edit and create and do everything over here. I'm not going to worry about this. They can run scripts. They can do all this kind of stuff. This is what I want to show you over here, right? This is kind of important. So if you want them to, if you want this, so let me bring back my face over here. If I can find my face. Let me bring it back over here. Now it's getting really big, right? I need the problem with this software. It's always kind of tricky for me to do all this. All right, so come back. Oop, no, still over here. There we go. Move over here. There we go. All right, here we go. So here's the deal with this. There are people who can access a database. Every person should have their own username and password. You really shouldn't use, in an ideal world, groups of people that share a password. A username password can belong to a privilege set. That's a role, R-O-L-E, not role, R-O-L-L, but role, like an actor in a movie. You have a role. You're the leading character. You're Tom Cruise and you're the hero or whatever, right? That's a role. And that role can do certain things. And so a privilege set defines what the role can do. Like if you're a salesperson, what can they do, right? Well, a salesperson probably wants to have access to this, right? So you could actually come up here and call it, instead of admin, you could call it sales, right? So what can sales do? Well, we would probably limit them to doing certain things with record stuff. I don't care about that at the moment. Do we want them to get access with WebDirect? This is the Thursday, Friday conversation, a very similar conversation to today. But if we want that, use that role to be able to access WebDirect, you have to turn this on right here, okay? Now this one right here is, they love to test all this stuff on the certification test. And this is one of those moments where I want to like slap someone because they made this horrifically stupid and complicated. This right here basically is FileMaker Pro or Go. They call it FM app. It really should be FM Pro and then a separate one for FM Go. And you can turn them on separately, but they combined them. So why would this one be separate and these two be combined? I don't know. Someone's logic has kind of broke down there. So, so that's kind of the rub with this, right? It's kind of tricky with that. So you've got the this one right here. Hopefully we're all seeing that. If you want to access it with PHP, like custom web publishing kind of stuff, like when I do the database where the CMS, like we were showing you what upcoming courses are coming, that's a web page. You have to access that with either XML or PHP or Data API. In my case, we use Data API over here on that one. But you could also turn these on too. You don't want to turn on things you don't need because you're opening a security hole, right? But anyway, in terms of our conversation today, this is Pro and Go, and this is WebDirect, right? So this is called an extended privilege. Okay, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. It's part of the salesperson. Once again, the salespeople, we're going to allow them to print. Maybe I don't want them to export all the data because they might try to quit and take it to a competing company, so you might turn that off, right? And then maybe we could tell them to log out after a certain period of time, stuff like that. So that's kind of the way that works, right? So it's a privilege set, right? And so I say, okay, then I could create a new person over here. Let me zoom out a little bit more. I'm going to say create a new person. It's going to be Ken, T-U-L-E-Y. And then the password, once again, because Ken is such a smart person, I'm just going to put password right there. And so Ken is set with the read-only access, but I could set him to sales, okay? Set him to sales. And then hit OK. And then so Ken technically could access this if he could get to this machine, which for the moment it's behind the firewall. He can't get to it. But that's how that works. So that's kind of an important concept. So sometimes we do a demo and you'll send me demoing stuff and I'll post it to a server. We can't access it because we didn't set the extended privilege and the FileMaker Pro wasn't smart enough to guess what we were trying to do. Like you saw, WebDirect was off by default, okay? So just keep that in mind. So you get to WebDirect like on Thursday. So Thursday, when I can't log in for some reason, you guys, guys and gals here, Carol and everyone else, I say guys, but I say everyone, guys, all my friends, loosely, all the friends here, remind me that the extended privilege set has to be turned on because by default, a lot of times it is not. Okay, well, under scripts, right? So let's talk about scripting. So if we want to write a script, there's a brand new file here. There are no scripts in here. I'm going to say create a script. I'm going to say auto enter info or something like that, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and create some scripts. And one of the things that's important to understand is that you can detect or tell what kind of device you're on. In fact, the easiest way to do this would be for me to open up. We have a training, we have a FileMaker Go training tool. The 18 tool is done. The 19 tool is kind of in progress. Let me go and open that up. It might be easier for you to see this. But so this is the FileMaker Go training tool. There's an 18 one out there. It's part of the downloads for the 18 video course, which is in your video player. So what you can do is kind of get into this to get this thing going. It goes through a lot of the content here, right? It talks about, and I have to update this. Like this says a reference here to 17, so we're still updating this. This is obviously not shipping the 19 one. We're still updating it. But it talks about the stuff that we've talked about today. You know, being able to hide or show the bars, the top and the bottom. This is another one of those moments where I want to start slapping people because in FileMaker Pro, at the top bar across the top is called the status toolbar, okay? There is no technical status toolbar in Go. However, there is a bar at the top, which you would assume is kind of probably the status toolbar. No, that's called the menu bar. They move the thing they call the toolbar is at the bottom of the screen. And so in Pro, all the menu controls are at the top. In WebDirect, all the controls are at the top. In Go, they split them top to bottom. So that's one of those moments. I don't mind they split at the top, the bottom, but they didn't. The naming just causes all sorts of confusion with people. There's the issue of sleep and restoration. It's a good one to talk about. In fact, going through this tool tomorrow is probably useful. But the idea is that if I'm over here in Go, right? Over here. over here in Go. And then suddenly I have to take a phone call, right? So I'm over here. I'm going to click out of here. And I'm going to go to the desktop and I start screwing around, or I'm going to check the weather or get driving directions or something. FileMaker Go is basically asleep. And there's a lot of levels of complexity under the hood here, but it's no longer connected, right? So it actually will go to the server and notify the server it's logging off, even though it keeps it all in RAM memory. The technology that they use to build this here is what they use now in FileMaker Pro. They built it here, they prototyped it in Go, and then they went, wow, this is really great. In fact, it was really funny because the engineers at Claris would go to meeting in the building, and because they would sleep the laptop and open it, they kept getting disconnected. They have to relog in and put a password in. It actually pissed them off. So they actually built this initially more for themselves because they got tired of having the thing not auto relog on by itself. And so it was already in Go, and they built it in Pro. Literally, the engineers had said this to me in the conference. They were getting tired of getting disconnected between meetings. So the necessity is the mother of invention, right? So if I go back to FileMaker, go down here, it's going to say, oh, I'm going to reconnect. Okay, it was there and it was gone. It said real quick, I'm reconnecting and I'm doing stuff. It's going to attempt to see if it's still on the internet, attempt to reconnect the server and see if it's there. And if that server is still, that file is more or less in the same state it was. If it is, it can log on, everything's fine, then it will kind of go back to where you were. Right? Makes sense. Pretty straightforward stuff. So I'm going to come back over here to the training tool real quick. Once again, this is our FileMaker Go training tool. So that's asleep and hibernation. You kind of go through these issues here. This is a good one right here. So let's talk about this. If I sleep the device, what happens is by default, unless you change the settings, this device will try to automatically relog in with your credentials that you would use previously for up to 1 minute. If you've been logged out for an hour or 30 minutes or something like that, it might ask you to re-authenticate. You might have to re-authenticate with a fingerprint scan on the device, which is trivial. But the idea is that it won't necessarily relog in. If this is medical information, then the automatic relogin would need to be disabled, right? And sort of like mission critical stuff. You don't want someone losing the iPad and getting into your stuff, or they target you specifically and they go after your iPad, right? Or iPhone, once again. When I say iPad, I mean iOS device, right? So there you go. So that's the way this works. You can change the time to 0 so it logs out immediately, or you can change it to 10 minutes or a week. I think the maximum is about a week. You can do a number of minutes up to 10,080 minutes, which I think is like a week or so. So that's a good one to know. It's called FM Authenticate. Going back over here, this is really a good one right here. So what happens is what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and log. Let me see if I can. I can log. Oh man, I'm going to log on to this over here. Although, yeah, let me see if I can log on to it. It's over there. I'm going to go ahead and close now. I'm going to go to 13. 13 is not in here. Just give me a second. What I'm going to log in. You'll see how the training tool works. The training tool is actually kind of slick. I'm just logging in. Just give me 1 second. Because the whole thing was designed basically, designed to let you compare how Pro would interact versus it, right? So. All right, so it's opening the file up over here. So this is the file running in Pro. This is the file running in Go. The idea is that you run it in both simultaneously and you compare the behavior. It's really kind of a cool tool. We invented this, built this tool back 10 years ago, 2010, thereabouts, when we came up with the first version of this. So the idea is I'm going to if I can do this without causing too big of a problem. Let me see, I want to go to Overview. I can go to Menu Controls. I can go to Next. That way we're together on this. So, but you want to get both of them together so you can see it. All right. So this is a good one right here. So I'm on this screen right here, and what happens is that when you frequently perform it, but then I Okay, perform script on your desktop, which will perform. So let me just run this over here on Go. So what happens is that say you go to a layout and it's like really big, right? So you can, so you notice I can zoom in, right? See that? A lot of times when you double click on Go, if you miss the object, the iOS thinks you're trying to zoom in, and that can be a real hassle. And so what we do is you can go to a screen and lock the size percentage, right? And so as I try to, let me see, where is that at on this one? The idea is to lock the layout, right? And so I'm not demoing this very well, but the idea is to lock it at 100% so you can't continue to zoom in and out, if that makes any sense, right? So, it's being stupid, but the idea is to lock the interface. I'm not sure. I'd have to tear the script apart. It's supposed to stay there. The problem is that when you miss an object, it tends to zoom in, which is what kind of stinks, right? So the idea is to lock it and keep it the screen from zooming in and out, right? Let me just take a look at the script here real quick. I go to layout mode. Let's take a look at the script. Oh, this is not the lock script. This is just the zoom. Okay, so this is an interesting behavior. Okay, sorry, I misread this. This is what the problem is. There's a lot of moving pieces to this. So when you go into Go and you go to a layout, it auto sizes the screen on its own. So if the screen is too big, like this right here, it tries to smash it all on the screen. That's actually like 3 data entry screens from an old version of Starting Point. It automatically does that, right? It's trying to resize so it can show you everything. And it's totally unusable. If those were buttons and then those are interface, that thing is so small on an iPad. I mean, this is micro, right? Like super micro. So not useful. So the idea is that you want to actually force it to be at 100%, or you build the layout so you don't have to, you need to script it so it goes to 100%, because Go has that kind of unusual behavior. I think the next one is the, let me see, what's the next one? Copy paste. There's differences in copy paste, how those work. That one's kind of goofy. Tabs. Exactly, differences in tab behavior. The idea was that the whole idea with this is to demonstrate the differences between the two platforms. I'm looking for the ones. This is the one I'm looking for. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to get over here. This is like a really important one. Some of this stuff is kind of like Clara said, yeah, you should know about it, but it's not really. Some things you run into and you find out what really are issues in the world and what really are things you can just drive around. This is the one where you double click. So, so if I click on Run Script, and then I'm over on the screen here and I miss, see how it zoomed in? Like I miss a field or something, it zooms in. Okay, that's a really, maybe the 20-year-olds or the 15-year-olds understand that as an interface thing. For me, I hate that. I didn't tell it to zoom. I'm just trying to click something and I missed it. I'm walking and I'm bouncing down the road and I'm trying to do this. So what I do is we like to run it and lock it. And so then as you double tap and you miss things, it doesn't just start zooming out of control and losing your mind, right? So that's a really, really important one. Understanding that if people miss a button or miss a field and they double tap and iOS is in its default behavior, it will zoom. And it makes for really, it aggravates me, right? So use the freeze window script set. The freeze window is different than this. This is not freeze. Freeze window is when a script is running and doing a bunch of stuff. All this is doing is running a script step which executes, it locks the zooming capability in and out. You can take this file is unlocked. You can take it apart. I really don't have the time to do that because we're running out of time at the top of the hour. And not a lot of questions, so I don't know if we're going to slide too much. Daryl's got a question. If you hide show the menu bar hidden or locked, is there still a way to get it on the iPad as an admin? Okay, so I just shot the new Go 19 video on this topic so I can talk about this kind of intelligently. All right, so this is the file right here. This is the status toolbar up here. I'm going to come back over here to Go real quick. This is really a good question. And we're going to talk about this briefly here. If I go to QuickTime, we're like lost our movie player, I guess. So I'm going to say movie player, connect to Go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and exit out. To exit out, to close a window, by the way, you're going to press this menu at the top right here. okay? And it pops up the windows that you have. So it's the same as coming over here to FileMaker Pro and see you have the windows listed here. The identical equivalent to that is coming over here, pressing the top button, and then it shows you the windows you have, and you can close them all out if you want, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over to the local file over here. I'm going to log into day one. I'm going to use my finger to log in. So we have a status, the menu bar at the top. Okay, this is very important. So over here you can say view. It's called status toolbar. I can hide it. I can show it. I can hide it. I can show it. Okay. And right here on this window right here, there's the bar right here and a bar up here. So what I'm going to use 3 fingers to go up and down. So if I use 3 fingers up, it hides both bars. If I use 3 fingers down, I show both bars, right? And you can lock either bar, top or bottom, lock it and prevent people from doing this. It's kind of like the override. Just like over here, you can execute a script step, which will disable this menu command right here. It's pretty simple. It's just a lock. Okay. The question that Daryl's asking, if the hide show menu bar is hidden and locked over here, once again I'm going 3 up, now say they're locked, is there a way to still get access to the iPad as an admin? You're going to have to run a script. The problem is, in order to run a script, you have to have access to the action menu. And the action menu is hidden. Notice that the action menu is the arrow right there, right? Same as WebDirect. It's right here. The action menu is how you can do things, right? I can click up there. But if you don't have access to that, it looks like this. There's nothing up there to click. So it's almost like if you want to be able to do stuff as an admin, you're going to need to, you're going to have to figure out a way of running a script that gets to that, etc. Some way of handling that, okay? Hidden button or whatever you want to do. Is there still a way to get the iPad as an admin, right? Yeah. So, you have to think about that, but it's like, when you lock people out of the file, how do you get it as an admin? So once again, the three fingers up, once again, 3 fingers up. I don't know if you can see that. So 3 fingers up, they all hide. 3 fingers down, they all show, right? So once again, it's the same as this, except that on Pro, it's only 1 bar here, and on Go, they have it broken down on 2 bars, right? So you got that. So anyway, so that's the consideration there. Anyway, I'm going to cut you folks loose. Let me know if you have any questions. Post the questions here to the LiveStream text discussion. Daryl, Jeff, all the people who are not on Discord or on Twitch, shoot me an email to support@RC Consulting. Once again, reminder that this broadcast is sponsored by FMTrain.tv, where if you keep your bundle and your training up to date, you're helping to underwrite this daily training, which is greatly appreciated. If you have any questions about the training or would like a discount or coupon, send an email to support@rcconsulting.com. And I'll catch you next time.
And the guys just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected the quarterback. Great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Trying to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left for Amendola, reaches up and snags a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.